I'm going to show you guys when Greg Cote is at his most vigorous, when Greg Cote has had the lubricating forces of liquor that have gotten into his soul, and he's willing to truly be free. I'm going to show you how I've always seen him dance, and it is at the height of Greg Cote dancing.
I can't wait.
Yes,
I cannot
I'm going to
wait
try and keep my mouth during the near the microphone.
Okay.
It is close enough that this is how Greg Cote dances.
Oh, that one, yeah. No, that's good.
That one.
Giddy up. Yeah.
You have another move?
Yeah. No, that's my pony dance. I have my vaudeville dance, my pony dance, and what I call my reggae dance, believe it or not, which is when I basically keep my feet together and do nothing but move my upper body.
You've also occasionally done the WAP.
What is the second dance that you have?
The vaudeville.
Can we see it, please?
What is the vaudeville dance?
That's a horizontal dance.
It's what Mike Ryan is doing there.
That's approximately it.
Hands
Good, Mike.
flashing in front of his knees.
That's exactly.
I remember
yes.
Chris's wedding.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But you do it better, right?
Yeah, of course. I usually confine my dancing to wedding receptions, by the way.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Of international drinking and discoing, Greg Cote of the Miami Herald returns something less than triumphantly here to your Tuesdays. It's been about a month since he was here. We will see if he can get through the day without wheezing and coughing and generally being hungover and making us fear for his mortality.
We told him, because we care about him, we suggested that he go to a doctor. He did not listen to us. He got a drink package and went on a disco cruise.
That's correct.
Yes.
That is not
Yes.
surprising at all that Greg Cote would choose, instead of getting health care, that he would take care of his health by just getting the open bar on a cruise ship, or, as you said, the drink package.
I mean, Jaeger did start as a cough medicine.
That's a good point. I saw the doctor several times on board Dr. Roulette. So that was.
He's back.
He and I got to know each other very well. Very expensive doctor, by the way.
In the Old West, Dan, people would just kind of drink as a tonic to cure their ailments. And look, this country was built by people that went west, right?
Thank you.
I know this sounds crazy, but Mike, you saw Greg last week. He sounds better, right?
Well, hold on a second, though. Sounding better, my guess is that you could go and dig up some sort of corpse at your local cemetery that would look and sound better than what he looked and sounded like when Mike sent him home last week because he showed up not being able to breathe.
Compared to last week when I had to go through his things to track down an inhaler, yeah, you're looking good, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One step at a time. You know, I'm on the road, baby. I don't know where it's leading, but I'm on the road.
I want to talk about what it is that you watched and heard from the Kobe Bryant proceedings yesterday. But before I get to that, I'm dead serious about what I'm about to say to you, because I can be fooled by the internet. Because
This is never a good start.
Oh, boy.
Because very often a spoof website or a spoof Twitter account or The Onion will trick me into believing something is true that is a parody.
Michael Jackson is not alive in wrestling in Brazil, Dan.
Just so you know.
That is such a good video. We have to get to that because that video is so good of that wrestler who was being Michael Jackson.
But you know that's not him, right?
I understand that that's not him. Are you telling me that wrestling is not real, though? That they're not really fighting?
There was a real wrestler in a ring dressed as Michael Jackson. It's just not Michael
It's great.
Jackson.
You guys have to find that on the internet if you have not seen it. It is wonderful. A wrestler in Brazil who moonwalks while, having a guy in a headlock and does Michael Jackson moves while dropping a Michael Jackson feathery elbow on them.
Also, that bear was not on Hal's deck. Excuse me. I was going to say desk. I meant deck. I botched it. Terrible. $2. Penalty box, 2 minutes. See ya. Home for the day. Walk to the ocean. What do you want me to do? Super Bowl week, Dan. I didn't ask for any of this. And I have no money. Aqua?
Walk to the ocean.
What?
Walk to the ocean.
I
Get
really
out
have
of
no
here.
money.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I'll do the show without you.
I have no legs.
Get out of here.
You sounded like James Brown in that CNN interview. Just spouting out just cliches and whatnot.
All right, go to the ocean.
Feel free. So the thing that I thought was a spoof, and he was working with the bear. He was actually, what happened there? I've got to get to this when he comes back. You guys tell me. He's got a good idea on a joke to do on social media.
It's too good that I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a good joke.
Yeah. He made a mistake telling you because you just want to blabber.
Oh, because I thought it'd be done by now and we don't finish anything around here.
No. This will show up in 3 months. But the
That's
joke
what I'm
is that
saying.
good.
No, but what I'm saying is we don't. The reason I say stuff around here is because we don't finish anything.
I feel
around
like
here.
we're dangerously close to already giving it away. Proceed with what you were fooled into believing on the
Okay, so this is from Lance Pugmire, and it was a story for The Athletic on boxing. And this is what I thought was fake, what I'm about to read to you. Deontay Wilder tells me he is definitely exercising his rematch clause for a summer trilogy against Tyson Fury, and that his legs were weakened by his 45-pound costume he wore to the ring to honor Black History Month. The second half of that sentence I thought was written by comedy writers. His legs were weakened by his 45-pound costume he wore to the ring
Yes.
to honor Black History Month. I thought that Lance Pugmire is one of the great comedic writers of our time. I had to go and look up that Deontay Wilder was saying this to multiple reporters. This is something I had to go look it up because I'm like, this isn't a spoof. He's dead serious that he had no legs because that costume was too heavy.
Verified account.
Yeah, he seems to be real.
Pug boxing.
So wait, he carried. How long did that entrance walkout take? What, like 5-6 minutes? You know,
Yeah,
No,
like 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah.
Not that
I
hard.
carry my daughter around all the time.
She's not 45 pounds.
Boom.
She's like 30-something pounds
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
When I was in Disney, she was on my shoulders
Exactly.
for like 2 hours straight.
Wow.
Exactly.
Did I cry?
No.
No, I kept it
No.
going.
No excuses
And
either.
sometimes I took her off my shoulders and I held her in my hand for a little bit.
Wow.
And then my hand got so tired I had to switch to the other arm.
It was hot.
And then I put her back on my shoulders. And it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Wilder.
There's air conditioning in that building. Chris is right. Taking a kid to Disney for the first time and walking around with them on your shoulders, harder than what Deontay Wilder had to do this weekend.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. What's harder, carrying a 45-pound costume that you're wearing to honor Black History Month?
In an air-conditioned building,
For
and
5
you're about
minutes
to make
to the
millions
ring.
of dollars.
Well, wait a minute. That doesn't make you any more or less tired.
How about you practice wearing the costume before the fight?
Boom.
How about
you train for the
with it
fight,
on?
train
I mean,
for the
was this like-
entrance.
Yes.
was this a last-minute thing that he's just like, oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I need something. He's getting carried out on a, whatever the hell he got carried out.
Am I right that you are better off if you're Deontay Wilder and that's something you actually think? You're better off keeping it as a private secret for the rest of your life instead of ever telling anybody that out loud, because all they're going to be able to do, you're a professional boxer, dude.
Right, but professional boxers don't wear elaborate gear like that. I give him credit for raising the bar on excuse making. I think it's absolutely fantastic that he was forthright about that. Now, the next time I might suggest celebrate Black History Month by beating the white guy. But if you're not going to do that, I think you've got a pretty good excuse. ESPN Sports Center. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with the Name Your Price tool to find a price that works for you. And now your Sports Center update. On a day when Oregon guard Sabrina Ionescu spoke at the Kobe and Gianna Bryant Memorial Service, the senior became the first college basketball player, man or woman, to collect 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,000 assists in a career as the Ducks beat Stanford. Bradley Beal became the first player since Kobe in 2007 to score 50 points on back-to-back nights, scored 55 last night in the Wizards' loss to the Bucks.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune into SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Roy, please have Billy put on the poll for us at Le Batard Show. Would Deontay Wilder have honored Black History Month more by beating the white guy than he did by wearing that costume?
It is Dan and Stu from the Clevelander in South Beach on ESPN Radio.
I now have hundreds of compact discs I can only play at home. They're no good as frisbees. I might as well sharpen the edges and fashion them into deadly razor-brim hats like Odd Job flung in Goldfinger. I'm Greg Cote,
Oh, for the
and
love
that's
of
how
God.
it was
Love that.
back in my day.
You love that. It was nostalgic. I loved
right?
it. Yeah, I loved everything
yes.
about that except that Goldfinger was made in 1964.
Vivid Seats app and enter promo code ESPN25 at checkout to get 10% off your next order. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid seat.
A tweeter writes in, why is this show still on the air? Your show is the worst on ESPN Radio. They need to replace your show with someone who has intelligence. ESPN, I advocate giving Jessica Mendoza her own show at 10 a.m. and get rid of Dan and Stugotz, please.
He's that guy.
I was saying during the local hour that I was actively trying to avoid much of the Kobe coverage yesterday for no other reason. It's not because I have a finite amount of compassion or pity or grieving. It's because I didn't want to feel the way that I have felt watching all of this coverage before now.
The Mendoza line.
Oh, I'd listen to that. Oh, man.
Oh, that's good.
Won me over.
That's good.
90% of success in this business is just having a good name.
Mike and Mike.
Is Greg Cote willing and ready to reveal what the name of his podcast is going to be? Are you willing to reveal, while your podcast hasn't quite come out yet, are you allowed to say, because they say it's all in a name, are you willing to say, are you ready to say what the name of your podcast is?
Yes, I am.
Okay, this is a big deal right here. You guys say that a big deal, an important thing is the name of a
90%
podcast.
of success in this industry, Dan.
I mean, the guys nailed the name of my podcast. They did. I fought
they
it
did.
for a little bit, but they absolutely
You did?
got
You
it right.
fought it?
Yeah, I did a little bit,
Yeah,
but they
because it's called Stupidity.
right.
He
right.
didn't get it at
great
first, but
name.
once we explained that it's a play on stupidity, he was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I fought it, but the guys were right. And listen, I still don't like the name of this show, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we'll work on it.
He doesn't like the Dan Le Batard show with Stugotz. He feels he merits a promotion, and he does, but the production staff just doesn't want to change all our imaging.
No,
You know
it's
what?
a whole to-do.
Yeah, and I've gotten used to the with. It comes without expectation. It comes without pressure. I mean, it really does. It's your show. I mean,
It's why you can begin the way that you did today and be like, okay, just walking to the beach.
But this is big and exciting. You're going to reveal the name?
Yeah.
He is
Oh.
going to reveal the name. Before you do that, however, because I just want to get people ready for this and
Revved up.
create the suspense. Don't say it just yet, but we're about to get to it. I just need to get through a little more of this Kobe. On production, as always. This is an impeccably produced show, as everyone around here knows.
we are getting dangerously close to the Mendoza line.
Yeah, I'm getting dangerously close to sending Mike Ryan out to the ocean there for playing that sounder.
Nice.
Dan's favorite colors: orange, yellow, purple, pink, blue, magenta, green. Which color will he choose? 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 Today,
So we've been doing this for years now, and we started at number 40, lavender. 39 was aqua.
Aqua.
Number 38 is mandarin orange. 37, lime, red, green, blue, yellow, mauve, periwinkle, hazel, blueberry, dandelion, chartreuse. 26 is burleywood. 25, blanched almond. Tan, persimmon, acid green, American bronze, bisque, chinchilla, jacaranda, Indian red, pale goldenrod, old lace, orchid, Navajo white, moccasin, navy, mint cream, lacewing, Xanadu, United Nations blue, razzmatazz. We are on number 5 now. Number 5.
That's amazing
Wow.
that you remembered all of those from the top of your
Well,
head.
they're my favorites. How could I not know all
Right.
of them?
Number 6 is also unofficially razzmatazz. Are we ready to make that
Yes,
official?
I was ready many months ago to make
Okay.
that official. Yes, so razzmatazz is officially number 6.
So we're moving into the top 5 here.
This is the
exciting.
5th one. Well, we
Wow.
already have, for some reason, purple is number 2. We
What?
know that purple is number 2. That's already in there. I don't remember how that got in there.
That's how this all started, because this came from the Magic Creative Content, where the question was, what's your second favorite color, not your first?
And so number 5, it can be announced now, is corn silk.
Wow.
Good choice. Good choice right there. Good
Thank
choice.
you.
Wow.
It's a
Very
very light shade of yellow. So that is number 5. And so we've only got 4, 3, and 1 left to do. Now, oddly, always on hold here since we began doing this is 80s heartthrob Rick Springfield. He, too, has a list of favorite colors that we have gone through. And number 18 was mango. Number 17, he's been waiting for this for a long time, as
Yep,
you know.
You would think he had better things to do, but nope.
No, he's always on hold waiting for us. We already know his number 1. It's turquoise. He's already said number 1.
Yeah, but he's gone to turquoise a couple times.
Very pedestrian, number 1.
Well, but we don't have anything between 2 and 12 for him. We have 17 is puce, 16 is apricot, 15 is burgundy, 14 was turquoise again.
Wow.
Number 13 was yellow. So 80s heartthrob Rick Springfield, what is your 12th favorite color?
Springfield's favorite colors: orange, yellow, purple, pink, blue, magenta, green.
Which color will he choose? Will he choose? Which color 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 will he choose? Today.
The 12th favorite color, according to 80s heartthrob Rick Springfield, is
Turquoise once again.
no.
Rick.
What is? Come on. What is that? No. Give me number 11. Do you have number 11 anywhere
he
around
just
there?
hung up.
Oh, he
I mean,
just hung
my
up.
God.
Amazing.
Come on, turquoise again. What is he doing? Respect the list, Springfield. Unbelievable.
It really was.
What do you mean? He couldn't come up with 18 colors?
He's in reruns.
He's like you. He's like you. You hit all the notes on your way out to the ocean. Like just 5 lazy notes, one after another, and then you walk to the ocean and you check your direct deposit.
Dale, you are listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
And something you must try is Vietnamese noodle soup, which folks from that country call pho, spelled P-H-O and often mispronounced in America as pho. Anyway, the first time I had a bowl of authentic pho, I eagerly raced to
You are
replicate.
listening to Dan, Stu, and Cody on ESPN Radio.
because Greg Cote of the Miami Herald is about to get into the game late on podcasts. He told his son, who is helping him produce that podcast, that one of the things that he wants to talk about is the Astros scandal. So he will get there 2 or 3 weeks late whenever he does decide to debut his podcast. But the name of that podcast, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, he is ready and willing to debut the name, and that name is
The Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote.
Good name, man.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It's debuting a week from today, actually.
Right.
We're rolling it out on Tuesdays,
All right.
and we're excited about that. And by the way, I disagree on the Astros thing. I think that's an ongoing thing. I mean, just yesterday, Jose Altuve is hit with a pitch and booed in his first appearance, and I think that's an ongoing story, much to baseball's chagrin.
Wait a minute. It's every Tuesday. That's when you're on here. You're programming against yourself.
Well, it's not a live podcast. It's going to be
More the reason to sort of stagger
There's
the release.
4 other days in the week that it can be released.
You don't want to give them
Or on the
all the Greg
weekends.
Cote in one day. You want to spread the Greg Cote out a little bit. That's all.
Just
You
to
guys
be
have
clear,
found
none of
a-
us in an official capacity are podcasting with you. This is not a Levitard and Friends podcast.
Sure.
But we would be wrong to not give you advice to say this is a bad idea.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Others disagree.
He's not saying it's a bad idea to do a podcast. He's
No,
saying it's a
just
bad idea to do it on Tuesday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Well, they're getting 3 hours of you on Tuesdays here.
You're cannibalizing the audience.
Right.
People only have so much time in the day to get their fill of Greg Cote.
Right.
You
Or-
might you might want to stagger it.
Or he brings down the empire.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't it on-demand listening? In other words, people don't have to listen to it right
Yes,
now.
but you're making it difficult by having the timeliness of Tuesdays be a day where everyone's already getting plenty of you.
Right. I
Okay.
would say by Friday or Monday, they're probably missing you, and that would be a better day to release your podcast.
Okay.
You know?
I'd go Thursday. Friday, not the best day to launch a podcast. By the way, Mystery Crate, subscribe now.
But if you're releasing a Miami-centric podcast, a lot of that revolves around football, so you might want to get your stuff out earlier, I think.
How about Mondays?
We were thinking Monday or Tuesday.
Go
so
Monday.
It's fluid.
Go Monday.
So
It
that's
hasn't happened yet.
Fluid situation.
Yeah.
it's the
So
Greg
is your lungs.
Cote Show with Greg Cote. That is also put it on the poll. Are Greg Cote's lungs a literal fluid situation at Lebitard Show? What did you think of the Kobe Memorial yesterday? I tried to actively avoid as much of it as I could. I failed, right, because it was everywhere, all over social media. There was no real escaping it. But what were your main takeaways?
It was tough to watch on a lot of different levels. On the one hand, I thought it was sadly fitting that on the day of the memorial, the widow comes out with the wrongful death suit, which you knew was coming, because Kobe, he had an imperfect life and a controversial life, and he was very polarizing, and all that tends to get smoothed over in death. I thought the greatest moments in that memorial were when you forgot for just a second that we're talking about one of the most famous athletes of all time and an iconic figure in sports, and you're just talking about the father and the daughter, and a guy who, by all accounts, just was becoming better and better as a parent and really evolving into his post-basketball life, and that was heartwarming to hear. Not about the star athlete, but just about the father and the guy who took so much joy in coaching his daughter.
Well, let me ask the audience this question because it is something that I wonder about. As I have said before, that this Kobe Bryant death has felt much like presidential assassinations, like space shuttle blowing up, like John Lennon, the grieving around it, like John Lennon dying too young, the shock of it. And I want to actually parse this part of it. If it had just been him and not his daughter, because this is such a strong connection point, parents realizing the helplessness of everything there and it reaching across all kind of demographics, the way only parenthood can, where you're thinking about, oh, his daughter too, the shock of that. How do you imagine all of this plays out differently in terms of public reaction and in terms of coverage if it hadn't been with that connection point attached to it, where everyone who's got kids, is saying, oh my God, the mortality of this is this fragile, it's this thin, that no amount of money and fame protect you from a disastrous situation of not being able to protect your child. How do you imagine in empirical terms it plays out differently if his daughter's not on that helicopter?
It's I told you the day it happened, it was a big story when you thought it was just Kobe, and somehow it resonated more with me as a father and having two daughters when I realized not just his daughter was on that helicopter, but there were two other daughters who were also on that helicopter. Not his, friends of his daughters. And so, yeah, obviously it impacts the story, and it makes it took it from a place where I already felt bad, but it took me to this visual that I still, till this day, cannot get rid of in my head, which is Kobe in that moment, and there had to be that moment as that helicopter is going down. It's the only time he cannot protect his daughter. And as a father, that has to be the most helpless feeling. I do think the reaction would be a bit different if the daughter's not in the helicopter.
I think it might have been slightly less deifying, slightly less saintly, mythologizing around some people. You know, Snoop Dogg's on an apology tour now because of how he reacted to Gayle King merely asking some questions about the parts of Kobe's past that are more uncomfortable.
What we're seeing in the aftermath of this is images of Kobe and his daughter. It would have just been images. There would have been images of Kobe and the family, Kobe and his daughters, Kobe as, girl dad, Kobe, all that great stuff that we're talking about. And Kobe
vastly less so.
But vastly less so. It would have been images more so of Kobe
of his
playing
basketball career.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that happens with death, and we all grieve differently, but there was something about this that united a collection of mourners. There is a certain self-involvement, a certain narcissism that happens where you check the mirror on your own mortality when something like this happens. You run it through your own selfish prism of what if that were me? And if it were just Kobe, we'd just be doing that. But you have the added element now of, oh my God, it's not merely the horror of a young man dying too young, but it's the connection point. Anybody in the audience who's got a toddler, who's got a baby, who's seen a teenager grow up, anybody in the audience can connect in that place selfishly with what the pain is, what the mourning is. There is something about the way that this happened, because it was with his daughter, that makes you feel even more for Vanessa Bryant than you would if she had merely lost her husband in that horrific of a fashion. The reason you're seeing so much strength in Vanessa Bryant as she stands up there is because it was her husband and their child.
And I've said this before, Dan, as good as Kobe had it on the court, what a great life he led, right? I mean, and I can't relate to anything he did on a basketball court, but I can relate to fatherhood, and I can relate to Kobe was just about to get to the absolute best parts, better than playing in the NBA. Because there is nothing like watching your kid do it. It's even better than you doing it yourself.
This is the Dan Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Get a look at him.
Jocular.
No, send him away.
I thought we were doing tickles.
No, send him away.
Yeah, I'd rather be sent away than tickled. Trust me.
All right, everybody in here tickle him.
No!
Everybody in here tickle
No,
him.
you
Yes,
called for a
everybody
penalty bomb.
in here
Why would
tickle
you
him.
say that?
Everyone in here tickle him.
I had already been
tickle him
assigned to the
while
penalty
Stugotz
box.
is reading the sports flash.
No.
Everybody tickle him.
Get away from me. I'll rip those hands right off your wrists.
that 9-inch hands are a bad measurement because it's the smallest hands that a first-round quarterback has had since 2008. That's an actual stat.
Did you see what Patrick Mahomes tweeted out after it was revealed that he had 9-inch hands? He said that mine measured at 9¼ inches, and I'm doing just fine. I believe in you.
Yeah, that's 9¼ I mean, a quarter is a lot.
That quarter inch changes everything.
Man.
Mike's just saying that because he has the biggest hands in here. We all measured our hands earlier.
Braggart.
I'm about 9, a little under.
You guys all measured your hands earlier to find out what the measurements were. I didn't know that 9 inches. I just saw it on the scroll. It made me pathetically sort of take inventory of the things in my life that have value and don't. It just went across the scroll. Joe Burrow's hands are 9 inches. And I sort of shrugged, not knowing after a lifetime in sports, is that good or bad?
Yeah, I had to measure mine.
It says a lot about you that you didn't know. Trust you a little less.
I mean, Brett Favre, 10.38 inches. I mean, Favre, gunslinger. I mean,
That's surprising.
I was jarred the other day. Just totally, it is surprising based on those Jets texts. It's surprising. I was surprised the other day watching an interview of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I guess I shouldn't be, right? Because he's 6'10" and he probably looks different than anyone you've ever met in your life. The size of his hands is crazy. Like it is. I want you to just look anywhere on the internet where he's got his hands in front of his face and marvel at the size of that dude's hand.
12 inches.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah, we looked it up. 12 inches.
Oh, my God.
12 inches. He's got an actual ruler for hands. It's like each of his fingers is like a ruler. 12. So who has bigger hands than that? Who has
It's thumb to pinky, by the way. That's the way we're doing this.
Who has bigger hands than old ruler hands Antetokounmpo? When you looked up 12 inches, because you mentioned something, you know what I'd like to do? What do you guys think of this?
Has to.
I don't think so.
I think Boban does. I'm not even joking.
Boban. I would say Kawhi's hands are bigger than Giannis.
Boban's ears are also more than 12 inches.
Kawhi 11.5 inches.
What? I'm telling you, Antetokounmpo's hands are crazy.
I was thinking about this the other day. Why isn't Antetokounmpo the greatest defensive player we've ever seen in the NBA? He's really underachieving when you think about it.
Well, they've got one of the number one defenses in the league, and he is the best rim protector by percentage in the entire league. And the guys after him are Brook Lopez and Robin Lopez, who are also on his team, so they get to protect the rim when he's out there.
Just say, it should be like something that jumps off the screen, how incredible this dude is at defending. No one should be able to get by him.
Michael Jordan, bigger hands than Kawhi.
Wow.
But not as big as Giannis, right?
No.
But Kawhi's nickname is the Claw. Man,
I'm seeing a website
surprising.
here that says the 3 biggest ever are tied at 12 inches: Boban, Shaq, and Giannis.
I have a website here that does length and width, like span.
Like
you
girth?
know, so Jordan's at 9.75 on length, 9.7, and Kawhi is also 9.75.
Giannis leads the league in defensive win share, so I'm gonna shut up now.
That's height, though. That's a different.
They are a
no length and span. Right, that's the website I have.
The
right?
Bucks are on the cusp of being a historically great defense, Mike. Like people talk about their offense.
No more basketball takes from me for a good long while.
You want to go sit in the penalty box for 2 minutes for just how bad that basketball take was.
Wait, all this being said, though, he should still be better.
Yes.
Fine, get out of here.
Underachiever.
Andre the Giant had rumored 16-inch hands.
Wow.
Of course.
I saw.
I saw he was 8 feet tall when he was broken.
I saw a picture of Andre the Giant the other day on an airplane, and he easily looked crowded, taking up 2 of the seats. Like just maybe 3. It might have been all 3 seats that he was sitting in, and it still looked a little crowded, even though all the seats were him. I think in that Andre the Giant documentary, they did say they had to buy two seats for him on every flight that he ended up taking.
Can you imagine him walking on a plane when you're seriously? I mean,
Like he's coming down the aisle and you're like, please not. Next
his
time.
head
Please not
must
next
hit
time."
the roof.
I
first
took
of all.
a flight one time with Shaq, and he was in first class, and it was that crappy American Airlines first class, and I felt legitimately bad for him because that wasn't big enough in any way
That
for
was
him.
a struggle for him?
Yes, of
Really?
course. How could it not be? Stugotz.
Crappy American Airlines first class is a little first world problems here.
Be careful there, Dana.
No, you guys. No. Wait a minute.
No, I've been there as well. I'm just telling you, be careful.
No. I know that
Be
it's.
careful.
I know. I'm talking about Shaq's first class,
Shaq,
not
yes.
my first class.
He had to use both seatbelts, Andre the Giant, when he was sitting on this airplane. Like one seatbelt from one side had to clip into the other seatbelt from the other side. He's a big guy, huh? Andre the Giant.
You mentioned that we were measuring hand sizes. I wanted to ask you guys. You guys saw that the male world record was just sent for the abdominal plank position, the position that Mike Vrabel takes on the sidelines when he's, elbows on the floor, toes on the floor, sort of a push-up position with your elbows on the floor, the plank. George Hood just set the record. He's 62 years old. How long do you guys think he held the plank for with his?
Man,
Well, I can go a
tough.
good minute and a half.
Right.
So times
3
that by
minutes.
4,
I mean, this is world record, though, guys. So I'll guess like an hour.
2 hours.
It's got to be more than that.
Well, the reason I
You
want
can't do more than 10 minutes.
2 hours.
the
Day
re-
and a half.
what?
A day and a half.
The reason I brought it up is because I'd like to know amongst us who would win that particular contest. If we were to do right now the contest of the planks out there, the record is now held by George Hood, and it's 8 hours and 15 minutes.
What?
And
Wow.
15 seconds.
That's impossible.
Skeptical Billy
Get
says
outta
it's
here.
This is the
impossible.
internet tricking you again, Dan.
No,
It
it's
has to
not
be.
the internet. This is according to CNN.
Was he on his knees?
Verified.
Was he doing the knee plank?
He was not on
The
his
knee
knees.
plank I could do
No.
for
I can do it for days.
2 days, yeah.
Who would win from among us, do you think?
On the elbows?
Yes, on the elbows. Who could do it longest? We should do this next segment.
Right.
I would
Ooh, a
say
plank off?
Yeah, planking it. I would say Tony. Tony would be my choice.
But he's big. Roy's got a nice, slender, light body.
Does
Oh.
anyone really win if we're doing planks?
Greg Cote
honestly?
would be terrible at it.
Well,
I guarantee you he
No,
has
but
no
he
idea
think,
even
but
how
the
to
thing
do it.
about him, no, that's the thing, though. The thing about him, he do it wrong, but he thinks he does everything
Yeah.
well. This is an area of expertise for him at all times. He's better.
I have calisthenics.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio.
Biggio famously hit by the most pitches in MLB history. Jeff Bagwell's up there, actually, a top tenor.
Modern history.
Yeah, modern
Huey
history.
Jennings.
The Greg Cote wheelhouse. I told you that he had Huey Jennings in his phone from
Right.
the 1890s.
Yeah, I knew him. Good dude.
I told you.
This is in the early 90s. A pitch from the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah.
Greg, you just said yeah to something that was said in your head.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Only, you know what? Go sit in the penalty box. Go sit in the penalty box.
Whoa. Yeah.
Billy, get out of here. Get out of here. Take the papers with you that you have to read. Billy, what did you say in his headset, and only in his headset, that he roared yeah to on the air?
Huey would have retweeted my articles.
How will I know when to read if I'm not in the room?
Get out of here. Show was supposed to be the anti-sports talk show. Every sports talk show in the country yesterday had the emergency goalie on the air. Way to go against the crowd and think outside the box for content.
Is that guy?
Way to ruin a good story, guy. by being that guy. Guillermo, put this on the poll at Batard Show. Hand size and endowment are proportional. Myth or real? Myth or real? Now, during the break we were talking, and Mike set the over-under on how long Greg Cote could do a plank at under 30 seconds. Cote objected to that. Cote just learned what a plank is. I think he's underestimating how hard this is to do. At the very least, we're going to send him into the other room right now to do a plank, and we're going to time him. At the very least, we're going to get the comedic content of how Cote is dressed today that you guys are going to be able to enjoy. His shorts, including boat shoes.
Are you going over or under? I would like to place bets on this. I am going under 30.
Well, I think what's going to happen is he's not going to do it correctly because you got to get your butt down, and the way
I'll be there to make sure he does.
The way to cheat is to put your butt up. So you just heard CNN. George Hood set the male world record, longest time in the abdominal plank position, 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds. Why are you laughing, Mike?
Because I guess they're testing the shot in the other room, and I saw Bruce having to be the person that brings.
No way.
No, let's go out there right now.
Go live.
Can the camera crew go out so that people can see sandwich stealing Bruce, so that people can see.
I think I stole my sandwich.
All right, so is the shot ready? Quote, quits coughing. And every time he laughs.
It's problematic if we can't make you laugh. Greg.
Cody, go stand outside there and get out of the way. That was visually uproarious. Seeing Bruce labor his way off the floor. All right, Cody.
Now they got Peepo doing it, and he doesn't really know how to do one. It's kind of awkward what he just did.
All right.
I put the bow and elbow.
All right, so I put the bow in elbow is what he just said. His way out of the room.
I mean, he's normally good on the way out.
There's no telling whether he's going to be good or bad. Whoa, that's a little pornographic from Peepo. Wait a minute, that wasn't a plank. That was him making babies.
He's had 19 shots of Cuban coffee. I mean,
we should have them. We should have the camera crew competing against each other as well, because I've got to figure out how to do this right now in terms of seedings. Who should be competing against each other on this? Like, what should be? Because we're going to do Cote by himself for a second there, and we're going to time it and see if it's 30 or more seconds.
Bruce is pretty good. He had good form. He was. What do we win, by the way? I don't want to win this. I have to do a plank. I cheat on planks. That has to be the worst part about this whole record thing. Someone had to watch him for 8 hours to make sure that he didn't go on a knee for a second.
Put on that poll. Put that on the poll. What feels worse? Doing a plank for 8 hours or watching someone do a plank for 8 hours to establish the world record?
I mean, Bruce is at about a minute right now. He's a military guy, though, I think, Bruce. So, I mean, he's in better shape than we give him credit for.
So, Greg has started now.
Our military is bleeped if that guy's a military guy.
Where did you get that from? Is that real or did you make that up?
I believe that he told me once in passing that he was in the military. I could be wrong. Go ask him.
Billy's going to he's making it up, right, Billy? You know he's making it up. Do you have the Stugotz tells? Are you able to see? Because Billy got up awfully fast to verify that. It's a quick question. Hey, Bruce, have you been in the military? Bruce, can you tell everybody, please, can you please tell the audience about all of your military experience, where you served, when you served, how you served?
School of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
Served no time.
Okay, very good. All right, so he did nothing. Stugotz was just making it up.
I heard that.
Okay, he swore that Bruce was in the military.
It's the elbow bending.
All right, yes, that's what happened, yes, from the drinking.
I mean, the guy stole my sandwich right in front of my face. I didn't even see him. I just figured.
Billy, Bruce, 2 minutes for leave the comedy to us. Put him in the penalty box.
By the way, Greg Cote passed a minute right now.
Really?
No way.
Past 1 minute.
I mean, he might not be breathing anymore. I'm not sure, but I think he's still in that position.
All right. So, and he was doing it right. Let's get a report from Mike because I wasn't watching at that minute. And somebody please send Bruce to the penalty box. I want him sitting in the penalty box as opposed to what he's normally doing around the penalty box, which is sleeping during work hours. So somebody go put him in the penalty box. Chris, Roy, how should we do this in terms of competition? a plank off, each of us against the other. Who I should be paired against Stugotz or somebody else?
I was thinking maybe what we do is we send the person out there who we think will be the best at it, and they establish a time, and then we can maybe take turns trying to beat that time. Like right now, Greg is setting the standard.
Wow.
He's still going, apparently. I don't know.
Amazing.
That is hard to believe that your father, who has been a picture of lacking health for the last 12 months
I'm getting
or so.
worried. I don't want him to start straining. Like, I kind of want him to stop.
This is encouraging. No.
Chris, his body is going to feel so bad tomorrow because he willfully decided to activate ab muscles that haven't been used since his 20s. Since his
I think he's at like 3 minutes,
No.
man.
He just stopped.
Yeah, he's getting
I
up
don't
now.
have an official time, but I would guess somewhere in the early 2-minute range.
That's hard to
Wow.
believe. That is legit. Okay, so that he has set the standard so far on a plank.
Greg Cote's the benchmark?
Okay, well, Mike, help me out here. How long did he just go, and did he do it right from the very beginning with no cheating?
2.5 minutes.
Lorenzo has the official time at 2:24.
Wow.
I was looking at the clock at 15, and he went 2.5 minutes by my count.
He
so
did put
somewhere
the
in there.
bow and elbow. I mean,
Legitimately surprised here. All right, let's try someone else here for the end of the segment. I think, is someone going to do more poorly
Let's
than
go, Stugotz.
Greg
all
Cote?
right.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm not going to do 2.5 minutes. I'm telling you
all
right
right.
now. This
So
is
Greg Cote.
embarrassing. I mean,
Also, Mike,
He's not gonna last.
you gotta
Agreed.
keep an eye though on Stugotz. Will try to cheat. He will try to send an Olympic athlete body double in there. Keep an eye on him the entire time, okay? Because he is somebody who would cheat his way to a world
Greg,
record.
how are you doing, by the way? Are you feeling sore? Like, was that hard?
No, it was surprisingly easy, actually. Now, having said that, 2.5 minutes was sort of like felt like my limit.
You stunned us. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Batard Show. Are you stunned that Greg Cote did a legal 2.5 minute plank?
You know who's going to win this if it's open to everyone is Frankie. Yeah. Frankie's going to destroy all of us. The security guard.
Oh, but wait, if it's open to everybody, like Frankie, the guy
Stugotz has just started for people keeping track.
All
at
right,
home.
well, give us some play-by-play if you would, because I can't see
He's
it.
on his elbows and the
Yeah.
tips of his toes. Like all
Obviously,
people
I'm no
doing
workout
planks.
savvy person, but his butt seems to be a little high. I would think his butt could be a little lower.
Yeah, the butt's up, yeah.
He's going to try and cheat at every turn, and the cheating move is to bring the butt up. You got to keep the butt down. You guys let me know, though, when he's done, because I do believe that Stugotz needs to be there's going to be some embarrassment in not going as long as Cote, and I don't know how many of us can go as long as Cote. The idea that he just went 2.5 minutes, I don't know that we've been as surprised by anything around here as much as that, except for maybe the time I did a push-up with Greg Cote on my back live on the air. I believe that was something that was shocking. Oh, that predates you, Billy. You don't even remember,
I don't remember that.
You don't even remember that.
That was at the old studio.
It
Yeah.
was at the old studio, a push-up with him on my back. How is Stugotz doing? What is the latest report?
He's still going, but Mike is reporting from the other room that he is feeling it.
Yeah, he's fidgeting a lot. it
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like.
there's going to be some. Well, that's what happens. There's going to
Oh,
be
I
some.
see shaking.
This
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
mental
yeah.
thing. You have to
Yes.
be mentally strong.
Well, how long is he at now, though? If man, 2 minutes is a long
He's
time.
just
doing-
repeating over and over, I will not lose to Greg Cote.
Okay.
I believe Greg's official time was 2:24.
Probably get a mic out here.
no,
for that.
I
That'll
wanted
probably make this
2:30.
better.
Yeah, that would probably help, but unfortunately, we don't think like that. You saw how you saw all Bruce's work there, right? He came in and told a couple of bad jokes. Just useless.
Bruce inspired me.
Stugotz is still out there. He is
That close to 2 minutes now.
He is rocking back and forth, saying he will not lose to Greg Cote. I believe that this is also a bit of a stunner, though. Oh, see, he does cheat a little bit.
It's
though.
really
See?
bad.
He keeps like
form.
going up for a couple seconds to like
Yes,
have a little
see,
relief.
I'm not. How do we do this? Like, he is cheating. He's just. He can't do anything without cheating. He's fundamentally incapable of doing. His butt's coming up again.
He just hit 2
Oh,
minutes.
he moved his
I don't know
elbows.
if this is right, but he
cheating.
You
just hit
can't
2
move
minutes.
your
But
elbows.
that's all cheating. Everything he's doing there is cheating. That's not. I don't know. I need a ruling here from somebody. He can't do anything without cheating. It's exasperating. Like, there's nothing in his life. If he could take the honest path, now we have to
He
wait
just
here.
passed Greg. Oh, and he fell.
as soon as he passed Greg. All right, we will celebrate with him in a moment here, all of his magnificent cheating, and we will continue to send people out there to break the record of now Stugotz. Mike, how legal was that? I saw him fidgeting an awful lot. I saw you pushing his butt down a bunch.
I had to adjust him a couple of times, but by my eyes, he was 2 seconds better than Greg Cote. But for the final minute and a half, he's like, I will not lose to Greg Cote. I will not lose to Greg Cote. And he was trembling.
How many of us do you think will lose to Greg Cote? Because 2 minutes is not easy that way.
No, it's not easy. But I think it's a great motivator, knowing that Greg Cote
That's
lasted
true.
as
All
long
right,
as he
we
did.
will continue
Scott's tapped into something that I wasn't aware he had.
Money, 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 money.
Pride. I wasn't aware he had pride either. There are better and more affordable earbud options out there. Stugotz has a simple solution for you. You're going to be so sore tomorrow. You're going to need an epidural.
Tomorrow.
You're going to need an epidural. Raycon, people, we've been telling you, it is a simple solution, affordable earbuds. Chris Cote goes next to see if he can be better than Stugotz. Chris Cote's up next.
You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's latest model, E25, is their best one yet. E25s offer you 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design for a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Please share your experience with Raycon wireless earbuds and what makes them a game changer for you.
That is not what you're supposed to read there.
But it was so well written.
You're supposed to ad-lib, yeah.
Okay.
It was well written there.
Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet.
Greg, I can tell everyone, I have the Raycon earbuds. They sent me the E25s, okay? I had another pair of earbuds that I paid double the price for. The E25s that Raycon sent me, infinitely better than the ones I paid more for, okay? I paid less for the Raycons, and you will too, okay? The ones I had cost more, not nearly as good. Sound quality, not nearly as good. I love my Raycon.
Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg and J.R. Smith are obsessed with Raycons. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Dan. That's buyraycon.com/Dan.
¿Qué pasa, USA? It is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Confidence with Chris, because anytime there's been any sort of physical challenge, Fat Chris has risen to the challenge.
I'm going to make the 43-yarder.
Oh, dude, I think you could do this.
Yeah. I took off my glasses so I don't break my glasses. Here you go. Oh! 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 Ah!
Heads up. I'm done. Sorry.
Chris Cote has gone 0 for 23 today. And it's been a disaster for him, but at least he tried.
I would think all these people would say, hey, he didn't make it, but he was a better athlete than I thought he was.
If you missed any of our interviews, check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by Capital One. With Capital One, you can open a new checking or savings account with no fees or minimums. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Approval required. Capital One N.A., member FDIC. Guys, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
For some reason, Stugotz wants to talk about Derek Jeter, and he also is telling Joe Burrow, he's wandering around here saying that, Joe Burrow, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, Joe Burrow. And I don't even know what he's talking about. We'll get to that in a second. But Chris Cote can go ahead and start his plank now, and we will see if he can beat his father and he can beat Stugotz. Stugotz went 2 seconds longer than Greg Cote. He did so with a lot of shuffling of the elbows, though, and Mike coming in, and he was getting relief. Stugotz was getting relief by shuffling around.
No one is harder on me than Mike, and Mike was standing right there. I didn't do anything. I mean, it's the rare time where I actually, I did it without cheating. Now, I asked Mike for a pillow for my stomach. He did not give me one. I didn't cheat, Mike, did I?
You didn't cheat. No,
Thank
you
you.
strugred.
I
Which
did
is
struggle.
expected,
It's
but,
hard.
yeah,
But
you
I am
lasted
telling
2
you, look,
full
I'm going to
seconds
go
longer.
try it as well, and I don't think I'm going to fare very well, but I do know that there is relief in squirming around and lifting your butt so that you don't have to do it consecutively. The dude did it for 8 hours. I don't want to be a nitpicker on it. It just seemed to me that if you kept coming over and pushing his back down, there is relief in those moments when his back is up.
Yeah, but this is an endurance competition. The point is to stay up. We're not
Yeah.
expecting perfect form.
Right. It seems like you're nitpicking.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. Chris Cote always blows us away in these scenarios. I have a feeling he's going to go for like 5 minutes right now.
I don't think so. That's hard, man. Billy, what's your level of confidence on this? What is your level of confidence
My own performance?
that you're going to win this?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to win this. I hate doing planks. I'm fine losing. I don't care.
Roy, what's your level of confidence? How good do you think you're going to be good at?
Oh, I'm going to win.
You're going to win?
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
I'm going for mid-table here.
Okay. You're just trying to be
Just beat
average. You're
Greg.
just not be, you're
Just
trying to
don't
not be
last.
embarrassing.
Doesn't want to be relegated.
I think you'll all do better than you think because I didn't think I could do it for a minute. But all I kept telling myself is do it longer than Greg Cote
We were
did.
surprised by your will. We were surprised by your pride. A lot of people are writing in here, and you guys, this part of it is always unpleasant. The people who take victory laps on somebody else's misery. High Noon, yesterday, ESPN announced that High Noon is going to be over as a television show, 4 p.m. Eastern at the end of March. And a whole lot of people like Clay Travis are taking victory laps because they like the whitewashing.
We have a tremendous upset right now. Wow. Tremendous upset.
What happened?
Chris went down?
Chris went down.
What?
Oh, wow.
Chris
What?
went down by my count full 15 seconds before his father did.
Wow.
It's hard.
Wow,
It is
Greg.
hard. That is
Look at you.
that is a bit of a stunner. Tony, you get out there now. Let's see how you do.
Geez, I'll be back in a day or two.
Let's see how you do.
I mean, this isn't an easy thing for bigger guys. Like this, Tony has a little bit of weight to him. So this might not be as No, I'm not saying it like
He's saying you're
insultingly.
fat, man.
No, I'm just saying you have a lot of meat on them bones. So like this may be harder than you think.
Yeah, in fact, hold off. We'll do it the next segment because
All right.
we're up against it.
I want to talk about this because you people who take a victory lap on this stuff are pretty mortifying to me. Like I'm not going to be taking any victory laps when Clay Travis gets fired, no matter how unctuous I find him.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
You're experiencing the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Get out of here. Let me let me recap what just happened. He brought a giant wooden puppet from his garage that he just referenced on the show, even though nobody gets what the hell he's talking about. It's as big as Isaiah Thomas. This puppet, this wooden puppet with strings, and it's up in here. He's the worst. I thought you were the worst. I was wrong.
That's why I love Tuesday.
He's the worst.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Ron Magill, half hour, noon Eastern on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Joel Embiid scored 49 points, including 22 in the fourth, and earned 14 rebounds as the Sixers defeated the Hawks. Jose Altuve had a pitch graze him off the foot unintentionally in the Astros' spring victory versus the Tigers. How do we know it was unintentional? How do we know? And finally, the head of Iran...
Because it hit him on the foot, and that's not usually where you throw at people?
I mean, the foot could hurt, man. Not a lot of skin there. Yeah.
Agreed, it would hurt. I just don't think that is something that pitchers intentionally do, in my experience.
That's the perfect way to do this. You just keep stubbing their toes because
Yes.
that's one of the worst pains you can feel.
Oh, the worst.
And finally, the head of Iran's counter-coronavirus task force had tested positive for the virus himself. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
The world record has been set for the plank. A gentleman by the name of George Hood has done more than 8 hours of planking, 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds. So we are trying around here to see what's the most we can do. Tony is now out there, and he is presently partaking in plank. But, Billy, what's the story you were telling me about Kornheiser? Les Stugotz and Greg Cote feel too good about their times.
I don't feel good.
Apparently, this competition happened in the D.C. offices some time ago. I've been told by a number of sources, one of which is online, who can verify what's happening here. And Tony Kornheiser claimed that he could do a 5-minute plank. So that then led to everyone saying that they could do more. And Lorenzo said, if he can do 5, I can do a 6-minute plank. Lorenzo apparently then proceeded to do a 6-minute plank
That's hard
with
to believe.
perfect form.
That's hard to believe.
Then I'm told that Charlie Hume heard what was going on, and he said, if Lorenzo can do a 6-minute plank, I can do more.
He's very competitive.
Yeah.
He is. So he then went and proceeded to fail at 45 seconds, but blamed it on his button-down shirt. So I'm told he then went and changed clothes into a comfortable, stretchier shirt, put in ear pods, wouldn't talk to anyone, started doing it again, and at about a minute and a half in, he gave up and said that he could have been doing it longer, but he wanted to stop doing planks.
Okay.
Wow.
That sounds about how Charlie would lose there. Lorenzo, at your leisure, you feel free to air on a small screen Charlie Hume doing the American Ninja Warrior. It's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen because he's ultra competitive and he falls in the funniest way possible with a groin shot on one of the obstacles.
But how about Lorenzo doing it for 6 minutes?
I find that very hard to
That is
believe. I find
shocking.
it more shocking than Greg Cote being able to do 2.5 minutes.
If you want to check in with Tony, who is presently a little bit of a discrepancy between TV, about 5 seconds. He has very tight pants on, but he seems like he's holding firm right now. Tony, how are you doing?
Guys, I am trying to get through this. I'm looking at about 2 minutes down the barrel at the moment.
Right.
Really fighting through here.
You sound good, though. You're going to break it, right? You're going to break Stugotz's record. How long do you think? What are you going for?
I'm going to go for about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Wow, 10 minutes? You're not lasting
He's
10
gonna
minutes if you're
embarrass-
hurting it,
He's
too.
going to end the game. Nobody's going to go after him if he goes for 10 minutes, but he does sound oddly good. He sounds not strained.
Oh, you still need to try it, though, Dan. We need to see you try
Yeah,
it,
of course.
even if he goes
Of course. I will try just so that we can have the content shame of that.
It's a great angle for Tony. We can all agree, right?
Looking
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Looking good,
Looks
son.
fantastic.
Stay there as long as you want, Tony. I mean,
The good news is you have just passed Stugotz's record.
Oh,
You're the
wow,
high water
congrats.
mark now.
that is unfortunate.
He's got the weevil wobble.
Oh.
He's wobbling already.
I'm
He's not.
wobbling. I'm wobbling, boys.
Right. You have the show record right now.
We
I
have
mean,
volume 7.5 minutes left.
Nobody likes
Kind
a
of
bragger.
odd what he's doing right now.
Guys
Like a
go
back
8
and forth
hours,
motion.
man. How do you
Uh-oh.
go 8 hours?
No ear scratching.
I'm wobbling, boys. Let me get to this story that I want to tell. Because,
Oh, he has gone down.
Yeah, under 3.
Yeah, 3 minute, a 3 minute on the button according to my clock.
All right, Roy, get out there. Let's see how you do out there. Go ahead and get out there, and let's see. Roy has proclaimed that he's going to win this.
This is my upset pick right here, Roy Bellamy. I think
He has just taken off.
Upset, I think.
Wow.
Most
He
people
is-
would handicap him as a favorite.
I had Tony as the favorite. I
Okay.
did, and I had you finishing second, Michael.
Okay.
Yep.
You guys haven't seen Roy jump rope,
Recalibrate-
though.
Yeah, recalibrate all your expectations.
Getting back to what it is that we were talking about with the cancellation of High Noon, you're allowed to not like that show. You're allowed to not think that they had chemistry or whatever it is your criticisms and complaints are. But I will just say that the cancellation of that show is a victory for dumb people. That's what's happened there. That's my opinion. But as Clay Travis takes this victory lap, and I'm not sure how sincere Clay Travis is on anything that he believes other than profit. I'm genuinely not sure. But I want to tell you a true story. It's a true story I haven't told before. It's uncomfortable and painful to me to retell this story, but just so that you know what you're looking at there in terms of what is being trafficked in a divisive America. So many of you think or believe that I was friends with the president of this company. We were not friends until he had to go to rehab, when we became friends. But while he was working here, John Skipper and I were professional. We had a professional relationship. So many of you know that when he resigned because of what he later revealed was cocaine extortion event. That happened while we were on the air, the letter of resignation that he wrote. And I was so concerned for that moment that you saw me cry on the air, because I know what that guy was trying to do in terms of making ESPN feel like an international entity, less local. The reason he hired us is because he wanted some outposts in Miami and New York and Los Angeles. He wanted to make ESPN broader and more diverse. And so if you're against that, I understand why you might be against that, but that was the attempt. It's what he was trying to do with whatever it was, the $20 billion he made for Disney over 6 years. And so he goes down in a public, shameful haze. I don't even know. I'm in too deep at this point. I don't even know if you'd like me telling this story, but he goes down in a public haze that doesn't feel very good. And so he's alone and ashamed in Winston-Salem, and over the Christmas break. And when I tell you that we became friends while he was going through rehab, because I felt for how alone he was. And I went to Winston-Salem solely and exclusively, his hometown, so that he could walk into places where he was a hero, as a conquering hero in sports, with his head up, because not a whole lot of people were next to him. I just wanted to walk into diners with him, walk into these places where he could go back home and not be ashamed. And at 6 o'clock that night, we go to a restaurant to have dinner, and we're sitting at the bar, and he happens to have a martini glass. We were not rip-roaring drunk. We were not drinking. It's just a martini glass. And after taking pictures with a bunch of people in that place and signing autographs and doing everything else, somebody sends to Clay Travis that photo, and he immediately puts it up on the internet. And I'm sitting there trying to help somebody at their lowest moment, and the road to hell paved with good intentions. That's what happens. A PR crisis where it looks like I'm partying with a friend who's headed to rehab. It's totally unfair, but it's what this dude traffics in. Like, it's what he's a lawyer. He's an otherwise smart person. Maybe he's smart for just doing this for profit, but I really do question the sincerity. He's carved his own lane, but it's a hateful lane. It's a divisive lane. It's a profitable lane for him, but he's the one who's got to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror on that one, because he's got to live with, what he did to me is nothing compared to what he's doing daily in order to line his pockets, because I don't believe what he's doing is sincere. I believe he's just dragging people around the nose with a narrative. How is Roy doing? Where's Roy at on this?
Went down at 2 minutes and roughly 46 seconds.
Wow.
So
pretty good.
Tony still has the high water mark at just over 3 minutes. He did pass Greg Cote by 15 seconds. But Greg, you were looking more and more impressive.
More and more impressive. I think, who's going to finish last now? Is it going to be Chris? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be Billy? Is it going to be Mike? Mike, how confident are you? What's your level of confidence with your ability? I don't think a 2-minute plank is that easy.
I was, when this news of this Marine happened, I saw it yesterday, and I tried to do it, and I gave up after 45 seconds. I'm like, why am I doing this? This seems pointless.
Mike, he did it while on his cell phone. Am I wrong? Like, he was holding his cell phone in one hand, the Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to see the time.
Sounds like cheating. Doesn't it?
I now question it.
That's what it does. Yeah.
Well, the cap on my head, that bared too much weight. I felt like Deontay Wilder there.
Were you wearing it for Black History Month? You were wearing it for Black History Month.
Black History Month on ESPN.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
Business owners are always looking for new employees who will make their company better. It's why ZipRecruiter will help you find the right candidates. They will do the dirty work. They will make it easier. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, when it comes to scoring great hires for your business, you may be up against a few obstacles. That's why you need ZipRecruiter on your team. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology hustles for you to find people with the right skills and experience for your job and invites them to apply. In fact, 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So win the hiring game with ZipRecruiter. To try ZipRecruiter for free, simple. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
You're experiencing the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
that I became aware of the existence of what I think is called Qatar, but a lot of people refer to as Qatar. It was at an Olympics where bodybuilding was introduced, and Qatar was trying to get a bunch of bodybuilders that weren't from there as sort of mercenaries to participate in it, and all of them were fleeing the Olympic Village because they had a bad outbreak of diarrhea because of the amount of steroids being used and masking agents being used. And this is how I became, I'd never heard of the country before this particular moment. And what is happening now with this sponsorship that it is notoriously hard in Miami to get corporations behind what you're doing. The sports teams down here will tell you horror stories about how hard it is to get legitimate sponsors to support your business. And now the new Miami soccer team, what is happening there, Mike, with their sponsorship and why they haven't announced fully what their sponsorship is?
Well, according to the club, they haven't announced fully because they haven't finalized a deal. There were leaks and semi-credible reports out there saying that they had negotiated a kit sponsorship, a jersey sponsorship with Qatar Airways, which is fully controlled by the Qatari government. However, reputable reporters from the Miami Herald have put out there that this is still open, and to that report, to supplement it, Inter Miami released their kits yesterday, unveiled them with no kit sponsor on them just yet for the start of the season. But if the reports are true,
the season starts soon, right?
The season starts on Sunday. Now, there have been leaked photos of their kits with the Qatar Airways out there, and considering the PR hit in the United States that a club might get with that sort of sponsorship, if you were a cynic, you'd say you would hold it to the very last second and then just distract people with the game. David Beckham has had business dealings with the Qatari government in the past, and many big clubs, such as Barcelona, have this very same shirt sponsor, but it's not as problematic in other parts of the world as it would be here in America, where we like to think we operate from some sort of moral high ground. It would be particularly troubling if a Cuban businessman like Jorge Mas, who is also an owner of this MLS franchise, did dealings with the Qatari government, given that the Qatari government gives money to Cuba, which is another public relations hit. However, some of the reported numbers out there for this shirt sponsorship might be worth the headache. We spoke to David Sampson, the former Marlins team president, who told us his experience with negotiating with Qatari Airlines. And he said he put a premium because, sort of like a headache tax, there was certainly a number.
There's a price. There is a price of bad PR. There is a number where you're willing to take whatever the bad PR is.
So even though it doesn't say just Qatar on it, it says Qatar Airways, but it's controlled by the government. You start looking into their human rights record. I mean, the horrible stories of the migrant workers that they use to build their stadiums.
For the people who do not know some of the reporting on this, it basically feels like slave labor where you're worked to the death to build sporting empires for them.
So based on what Mike just told us in the audience, do you think it's worth a Miami team doing that? A new Miami team doing that?
Well, I find interesting the delays. The season starts Sunday, and
it's curious that they don't have a kit sponsor yet, but they could be holding out. Look, the Marlins team stadium doesn't have a sponsor and hasn't, and you would wonder why don't they have it? And it's been like that for several years. They might just be holding out because they have a certain number in mind for what the value is of that shirt. If it happens, it's not going to prevent me from watching the games. It's not going to prevent me from going to the games. Some people might have a problem with it. Some people that aren't even paying attention to the sport might certainly pay attention to it. I know Billy Corbin's gone off on Twitter about it. In this market, it's curious for specifically a Miami-branded team to make that decision. You would think the human rights record of Qatar would be enough, but the Cuban population down here adds a whole new element to it.
Well, you would think that the Chinese human rights violations would be enough for the NBA not to do business there.
Oh, but every there are a lot of people in business. There are very few big companies not in business in some form with China. No matter,
it's hard to be a Fortune 500 company.
It's really hard.
Of course, it is
a big capitalistic venture and just morally cut off parts of the world because of their human rights records.
But that's an example of where you conveniently look past human rights violations when it suits you. And in this case, you know, it's like the owner of the Miami Heat, shows a willingness to do business with his cruise ships in Cuba. I mean, it's it's a line we all draw. And in the case of Qatar, I wouldn't do it if I were the David Beckham Group and if I were Jorge Mas.
Oh, but they're desperate for money.
Of course
they're
they are.
Desperate. Like, that's exactly. And
you have
if it's true,
and you have a
if-
company willing
right.
to pay a premium, right?
I need to preface all of this with if it's true, because we don't know.
Right now, the club, all we have is a club statement saying they haven't decided on a sponsor.
Right. But the idea, though, that you're taking dirty money, that
Right.
you're opening with dirty money.
Right, and I don't think they should. I think they should start off with a clean slate.
What
and-
if they can't get good sponsorship, though? Because I'm telling you, this is always a problem in Miami. It's one of the reasons the Mikasukis are able to sponsor so many things, because they're the ones that have a right to gambling, and they're the ones who have an excess of money
Right.
because they are the ones who do the gambling, and they're able to give a lot of people money and pay more than most people are.
I mean, Greg, the Dolphins struggle with getting good sponsors, long-term sponsors. This is a new soccer team in Miami.
Right, yeah, but it just, for me, it stretches credulity to think that the international David Beckham brand cannot attract a non-controversial.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cote on ESPN Radio. And now, the Ron Magill Show.
Hey, Ron, if Dan were eaten by a grizzly bear, how long could that grizzly bear live off of Dan's fat alone? Dan, you're fat.
Theoretically, you probably go through hibernation through the winter.
Straight from Zoo, Miami, it is Ron Magill.
McGill, what's the strangest thing you've shared a hotel room with?
I had a cheetah in my bed.
Yeah, you did.
We all.
Here is Ron Magill, Stugotz and Dan Batard on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Ron Magill going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Takes your phone call, 786-456-4837. Here's your SportsCenter update. Deontay Wilder says the 40-pound uniform that he was wearing 15 minutes prior to his ring walk affected his legs during his TKO loss to Tyson Fury. Wilder will exercise his rematch clause.
Such a great story.
Awesome. The NFL and the Players Association will meet today to hopefully finalize a new CBA. And finally, Will Smith says he cried in a bathroom stall during a date with his first wife shortly after meeting Jada Pinkett because he knew Jada was the woman he was truly meant to be with.
Did you put first in the wrong place there? His first wife or his own? It's
Will Smith said he cried in a bathroom stall during a date with his first wife shortly after meeting Jada Pinkett because he knew Jada was the woman he was truly meant to be with.
Okay, I got it. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay. I understand. It's usually my fault. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
So Mike Ryan is out there, and he will start his plank now during the Ron Magill segment. We will take your calls at 786-456-4837. Billy Gill so far just went more than 4 minutes. Billy, how was that experience for you? You poo-pooed it. You were saying that you were going to lose, and now you've crushed everybody. You went a minute longer than anyone else went.
It was so stupid. I'm so sore now. I have to drink water. I'm stretching out. Like, why did I do that?
But you put it out of reach, Bill. I mean, no one's going to break that.
I don't think
Not on this
anyone's
show.
going to get to 4
Mike's
minutes.
going to be back here in 90 seconds.
Mike is in the middle of it now. I'm surprised. You've all done better than I thought you were going to do, and I am going to close out the show by embarrassing myself, and I imagine finishing a distant last.
I'm very disappointed in myself. I just wanted to beat my dad, and I didn't.
That's fairly amazing. That's the big upset. It's the big upset. We're going to take your calls in a second here, but I just want to tell the audience something real quick that Roy offered me uselessly during the break. Roy often speaks into my headsets and just tells me what's going on with news of the moment in the event that I'm not aware. And he just came into my headset and said, Dan, Dave Gettleman has said that offenses score points, but defenses win championships.
Yep. I mean, Dave Football Gettleman. He also said the number 4 pick, they are open for business.
Well, that was as if it wasn't enough to hear that from Roy. I had Stugotz shooting sausage fingers all over the place. He also said open for business. Open for business.
I
Super
love when
excited.
teams are open for business, man. It's great, especially because the Jets need to go up there and try to get the wide receiver from Alabama, who goes by the last name Jew. I mean,
Jack, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, guys. Hope y'all having a good day. Ron, I was wondering which you considered more impressive, the vocal mimicry of like a mynah bird or parrot or the physical mimicry of an octopus?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with the octopus because, I think we as people, we can do different types of sounds and imitate different sounds, but, man, we can't change color that quickly. We can't just change your total appearance in one split second. I got to go with the octopus.
Mike Ryan is at 2 minutes now, but he is really struggling. Yeah, he's really struggling.
Holding hands.
Ryan, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami.
Hey, Ron, it's Ryan.
We established that.
So I'm wondering who would win in a fight between a fully grown male peacock and a male house cat full of testosterone.
Full of testosterone, the male house cat's going to win. Male house cat understand the peacock is a bird. It is not a predator. The house cat is a born predator. It's quick. Once it gets behind the head on the neck of that peacock, it's over, no matter how big the peacock is. So that's pretty much a no-brainer. I'm going to go with a full-grown house cat blowing up with testosterone.
Mike Ryan goes down at 2 minutes, 37 seconds. I think he was just trying to get past Greg Cote. What were you at, Greg? What was your final time?
I think I was right at 2:30.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to get past you. He's on his back, writhing around and spasming, but he did beat Greg Cote, which is the goal of everybody here. Taylor, you're on with Ron Magill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron, I just wanted to know what's the history with cats. I know, there's a lot of reasons why dogs were domesticated and kept as pets, but I don't understand the purpose of cats. Also, do horses mind being ridden? Thanks.
The deal with cats is, I think it comes from way back in the Egyptian times. Cats were always considered a sign of royalty. So people wanted to have that connection to royalty. Back in the old times, only royalty had them. And then as they became domesticated over the years, there was a way for people, common folk, to connect with royalty. And it seemed to be that they bonded with cats because, people who love cats understand that they are very incredible animals. They tend to be a little bit more independent than dogs, but they still are fascinating. They still are beautiful. They still can be very, passionate, compassionate with people. Very nice to be around. So I think that's the deal with cats. That over the years they became domesticated for that reason. That it was just something to connect with royalty. Then it realized people how great cats were. Now, as far as what was the other question?
The horse being ridden.
Oh, I don't know whether a horse likes being ridden. I can tell you that there are some horses that seem to enjoy going out on a walk with their rider. I would say right away, I'd say, well, I wouldn't want to have somebody riding on my back the whole time. But then a horse is built differently for that. So I know horses. I used to raise horses myself. They would come running to me to put the blanket on them and go riding. They loved it. They loved that interaction. So I don't know though, what the real answer is to that. I can tell you it doesn't do them any harm, to the best of my knowledge. They do seem to enjoy going out on the ride, but whether it bothers them or not, I don't know.
Ron, I was recently at a ranch, and they had horses that seemed to have kind of like burlap sacks covering their eyes during the day, and I was wondering what that was used for.
Yeah, basically what happens is horses get a lot of insects that go into their eyes, flies, biting flies that go into their eyes, and their eyes can become ulcerated, especially the skin right around the eye. So that is a burlap sack is kind of a cheap person's version of it, but usually they have like a net halter that goes over the eyes, and it keeps the insect from going into the eyes and causing those ulcerations, which can become infected, and they're real hard to treat on a horse.
Ron, when I was a kid, of course, zoos had bars and cages, and zoos are so different now. I wonder what is on the vanguard of zoos in this country. How might a zoo be totally different in 30 or 40 years than what we see today?
I think you're going to see more of these very large open-air exhibits that are housing natural families of animals, and you're not going to see zoos as much showing the variety of animals, like, polar bears and penguins combined with, anacondas and harpy eagles. You're going to start seeing zoos concentrating on the things that they would do best in the climates that they're naturally found in. For instance, here at Zoo Miami, we don't have these cold-temperate animals because they would not thrive in this type of climate. You're going to see more zoos doing that. And like I said, you're going to see less variety and more concentrating on the things that zoos do best with the species they do best with. Because the objective is to get people to care about the animals, to be an insurance policy for very uncertain populations in the wild, not just to have a menagerie of animals to gawk at.
This is going very well. We're learning, as we always do every week. Let's speed it up with the callers, please, because we've got a lot of you who want to talk to Ron Magill. Bruce, you're on with Ron Magill. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron, I want to know how wading birds like herons and egrets can compensate for light refraction through air and water when they strike at prey items.
That's a good question, but you should watch some of these herons, what they do. Watch them when they start. They get over the water, and then they open their wings. They create a shadow with their wings. They take away the glare and the reflection. They kind of make an umbrella with their wings, and then, boom, they'll stab it a lot of times that way. Otherwise, their eyes are set in such a way that they don't get the refracted light the way we see them. Remember, herons' eyes are not both facing forward. They're side to side, so they have a different perspective into the water. But very often you'll see herons and ibises and other birds like that just open their wings, and they create this umbrella, and that's how they get the fish. It's fantastic how they adapt. So intelligent.
Pete, you're on with Ron Magill. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Ron, I wanted to, this question has to do with two different movies, Anaconda and Revenant. I just wanted to know which one you'd rather be, John Voight going down with an anaconda or being grizzly bear clawed by with Leo.
Okay, get out of here.
Yeah.
Thanks for making it quick.
Efficient, yeah.
I'm going to have to go with the grizzly bear, because I think that's going to be faster. An anaconda is going to wrap around you, and you suffocate, and it's just, I think if a good grizzly bear gets you behind the neck, hopefully he snaps the neck and you go quickly. The anaconda, you're just being asphyxiated slowly. It's compressing your thing. You know, the blood vessels are bursting in your eyes. It's a horrible, horrible, slow, miserable death. I'm going with the grizzly bear.
Peter, you're on with Magill. Go ahead, Peter.
Hi, guys. Ron, quick question. Why do crows conjugate? I noticed on Valentine's Day especially, living out in Seattle, they conjugate in one particular area. Please, take the call off the air. Thanks.
Sure. Crows are very intelligent birds. As a matter of fact, many people argue they are the most intelligent of all the birds, and they communicate with each other. They have communication. If there's a food source, they see a food source, they communicate with each other to find that food source. They sometimes work cooperatively to solve problems in getting food sources. So crows congregate that way because they find that safety in numbers, and that the numbers give them a greater strength in acquiring whatever food they're looking for.
No video this week, Ron. We will talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Have a good one, guys.
You don't get the show. Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
You still shaking from your plank?
So
You're not...
that was me reaching for the button and my hand just shaking.
Wow. Advance Auto Parts, the best place to go to find the right and most affordable auto parts is Advance Auto Parts. Tell them, Gotts.
Yep, football season is over. Now your Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays are dreadfully open until August. Luckily, Advance Auto Parts has something productive you can do to fill the time. Getting your vehicle's battery tested. It's free. If your battery is low, they'll install your new one for you with purchase. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. The only shame is how fast you'll get in, out, and back to twiddling your thumbs as the football starts up again. Think ahead. Think Advance. Only at Advance Auto Parts.
You're engulfed in the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app, and subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcast. Greg Cote giving us the Straight Talk is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less. At Walmart.
Mike, can you get the sound that made us laugh the hardest in the mispronunciations of Stugotz? Just give people a little tease. The last South Beach session just came out. The most recent South Beach session, it's John Amici. John Amici is very strong on the subject of parenting. But there's also a Stump the Meech in there where we play every time John Amici is on with us. He's a brilliant man. Try to translate what Stugotz was trying to say. See if you can get 3 of 5. I believe that this is the most interesting Stump the Meech that we have ever done. And this sound in particular is what it was like tickling me.
Hermaphrodites.
So we kept.
What did I say? Hermaphrodites. What?
Leave it unsaid. You can
check out the latest South Beach sessions to find out what Stugotz said.
Yes, you can find that. You can find that anywhere that you get your podcasts.
Hermaphrodites.
And we played Stump the Meech with John Amici, and it was uproarious.
This is the most memorable Stump the Meech we've done.
I think so.
Really?
Yes. Billy, why were you laughing? We've lost the happy oaf. Chris Cote has been a bit of a misery today. We're not used to it. His father was just up here with his arms raised like Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption when he comes out of the sewer poop. He just announced, I'm exultant. Why is Chris so despondent back there?
I've never seen Chris like this before. Chris is a very positive, upbeat person, and even when he's not, he pretends to be, right? So, like, you know, not to say that he's not always like that, but he can put on a show if he's feeling blue. Chris just exclaimed at one point, I don't like this feeling. And we look at him, we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, I want redemption. He's devastated that he lost to his dad at a plank competition.
Yeah, I've lost to everybody, but the dad part, because I'm on him all the time about his health and how out of shape he is. And I couldn't even do a plank longer than him. I want to do it again. I don't even care if you videotape it. I'm going to go out there and do it again.
Would you want a rematch, or you just want to retire as the victor? If we put you next to each other out there right now, head to head, face to face, is that something that you'd want to do?
Of course, I'm willing. Sure.
Are you sure though? I mean, you're doing this twice in one day. He's younger.
All right,
Yeah.
let's see what we've got.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and do it out there.
Greg.
I'm the only one who hasn't gone. I am not confident. I am fearing embarrassment. I am not confident in any way. I've been surprised by all the results here. I thought it was going to be harder for all of you. The reason we're doing it is because the world record was set 8 hours and 15 minutes yesterday.
Well, do you feel like, because Billy went, 4 minutes, so he's the leader in the clubhouse right now, do you feel like you'll be Greg?
No, I'm not confident that I'm going to be able to do this. I thought a minute was particularly hard at this. I think it's hard for most people to do a minute. I was of the impression.
We have one microphone, but I'm going to be out there just sort of interviewing our contestants.
Okay, let's do that right now. So Greg Cote's going to head out there. I'm really surprised he has decided to do this again. But Billy, Chris is legitimately bummed about this, right? Because he's 35 years younger than his dad. His dad has had a health crisis for the last year, and his dad just dusted him doing planks.
I mean, he should be bummed. We never know what breath is going to be Greg's last breath, and he just came off a disco cruise where he got a full drink package. I mean,
Chris also really likes like these athletic competitions and takes like a lot of pride in it. So like losing to his dad of all people isn't the best thing. Dan, can I give you a tip on what you should do? Because I was talking to Anthony, who obviously is, the second best here. And I did have an advantage in knowing a time that I have to beat. This is what you need to do when you go, Dan. Don't really pay too much attention to the time, because if you go in there thinking, this is what happens when, the bros work out. Yeah. You go into the gym and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do planks for a minute. Then you look at the time and 45 seconds in, you start shaking because you're like, I got to get to a minute. If you don't look at the time, you don't really know where you are. Just glance at it occasionally from time to time, but don't be looking at it saying, you know what, I'm at 2 minutes right now.
I wouldn't glance at it at all. Seriously.
Yeah.
Try anything you can to distract yourself. Anything.
But this assumes, you guys, what is the betting? This assumes that I'll be able to do over a minute. Are you guys sure that I can do over a minute?
It's all in your head, Dan. It's all mental.
Yeah, you could definitely do a minute. I'm telling you. If Greg could do a minute, I could do a minute. Anyone could do a minute. So you could definitely do a minute. In fact, I think you're going to do better than you think. I did better than I thought, Dan, but I'll tell you where it starts kicking in. Where it really starts to hurt is right around the 90-second mark. That's when it really
Dan, it's an old case of out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, thank you. Go sit in the penalty box, Tony. I appreciate you.
No.
offering me nothing of worth there. Feel free to
No,
go
he's
sit in
right.
the penalty
Honestly, I'm
box.
right.
But you know what Billy's saying? When you
Get out of my sight, and out of my mind.
You remember like when class was like, Billy, you stare at the clock and it feels like it takes forever
The
to get out of
last
class.
5 minutes.
Yes, right, exactly.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Right.
All
Just
right.
don't stare at the clock.
Mike is in position now. We are going to do this next segment. We're going to do this on ESPN News next segment. It's going to be Cody and Cody face-to-face in a plank off next.
Keep it locked to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Top.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Also, happy 71st birthday to the nature boy, Ric Flair.
Good luck.
So we've got Chris Cote and Greg Cote. They are lined up. Skeptical Billy is making an appearance for some reason. No good reason at all.
Well, no, Greg. Look, I love Greg, and I'm worried because his feet are very close to the wall, and I want him to shame his son, and I'm worried that people are going to say that he's propped up against the wall.
All right, well, go ahead and move him a little
Make
bit.
sure
Tell
he's
him
not.
he's too close to the. Tell him he's a little too close to the wall, so he can't be accused of cheating. Now, Stugotz, do you think, for those of you who don't know what we're doing because you're not watching on television, we are doing a plank off in honor of the man who went 8 hours and 15 minutes setting a world record. 8 hours and 15 minutes doing that. It's totally insane. A 62-year-old man. And he did it for 8 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. And after they go, Stugotz and I are going to have a plank off here, as I am going to be really embarrassed here, I think, by everything happening here. So Chris and Greg have begun, and now and Chris's butt is a little too high. He needs a little too high. He needs a little too much help. He is flatten that out, Mike. You got to flatten that out.
Yep. I'm going to go with Chris here, though, only because this is Greg's second go-around.
But it's Chris's, too.
Well, and Greg,
yeah, I know, but Greg's a bit older.
On the
right.
arms.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he did put the bow and elbow. He told us that earlier.
I can't believe that Greg Cote initially did 2.5 minutes at that. And I feel like the country at large here listening to me, I feel like the country sides with me on this is harder than you guys are making this look.
Greg's form is really good, especially compared to Chris's. Chris is still a little high in the butt area. More like he's at like a 75-degree
Let's
angle.
go to Chris right now live. How is Chris doing? Chris, you look like you're struggling. Your dad is making it look easier than you are.
Yeah, I don't know why I did this. I don't know why I wanted a rematch.
Right.
This is not my strength.
Mm-hmm. And lunch is here. I mean, just to make matters worse, just so you know.
Mike, are you flabbergasted? Are you flabbergasted, Mike, by how perfect Greg Cote's form is here?
I can tell you by standing over them, Chris is shaking a lot more than Greg. I honestly think that Greg could have done it longer the first go-round. He's pretty cool right now. Greg, any comments?
Cucumbers take their cool from me.
He's in boat shoes also, which can't be easy.
It's amazing.
He's wearing boat shoes, he's wearing shorts, and he's wearing a collared shirt. Mike,
I'm done.
Chris is done.
Wow.
He's done.
Oh,
my God.
This was worse than the first time.
Still going even though Chris dropped out.
All right, Greg, go for Billy now. Go for 4 minutes. Let's go.
Greg Cote.
141.
I can't believe how easy Greg Cote is making this look.
Oh, my God.
Any words?
I am
Well, I'm going for a PR.
Okay, good.
Walk into the ocean.
Going.
Give me,
Oh, man.
I'll get till 2:30. What was my time last time?
2:30.
All right, give me 2:45.
He's calling it.
He's going to beat me now.
This is a bit breathtaking. Well, literally in the case of Chris Cote, but the idea that Greg now he is going to not be able to get out of bed tomorrow.
And the next day.
He might not come in next Tuesday, but he is going to break his personal record of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Congratulations, Greg Cote. Congratulate him, Mike, because he's broken his personal record of 2:30.
Past 2:30, Greg.
Oh, man.
Still unbelievably good.
240.
Really?
All right, Stugotz, your turn and my turn. Let's go out there and let's see what happens here as
This
these
is,
guys as these guys carry the show.
I will tell you, I'm cranking up the excuse machine. This is my second go around, and I just had a piece of pizza with sausage and pepperoni.
I feel like I'm going to get embarrassed here.
Dan, you may get embarrassed, but you know what I've realized? And watching Chris and Greg do the same thing? Chris may have longer arms, which means he has more to go on the elbows. Greg's center of gravity is very low.
Right. I think Dan is going to do a lot better than we all expect. I think you might get the Guinness Book of World Record. I'm telling you.
All right,
I feel Dan going 8 hours.
I'm gonna clean out. I'm gonna leave this for you here. I'm gonna go clean out my bladder real quick so I can be as light as possible before doing this.
Keep it on the Dan Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Today on ESPN Daily at the NFL Combine, the focus is on quarterbacks and the size of their hands. So, does that measurement actually matter? That's ESPN Daily with Mina Kimes, presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Greg, this face-off between Dan and Stugotz is about to get started. Stugotz is now leaving the studio for this head-to-head face-off, a plank-off between Dan and Stugotz. Now, I do have the stats from their previous matchup. Stugotz went for 2:32, 2 minutes and 32 seconds, which eclipsed your first number because he knew what he was going for, and as you proved, you can continue going. Dan has yet to go. So this is Stu's second time, so keep that for context because his body may tire out a little bit here. And Dan has yet to show his cards.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
Well, I can tell you it was much tougher the second time around for me. I think this is a mental exercise. I think the mind has to leave the body and go to a calmer place. For me, that's the key to the whole endeavor.
All right, our two combatants are presently getting in position. Billy is out there to give us play-by-play.
And Dan has changed shirts. He's wearing a long sleeve. Let's see how that affects his planking.
Bold strategy.
He has also emptied his bladder, and he was gone for a very long time. So he emptied a lot in that bladder.
Are we making predictions here? Do we want to get out with predictions?
I'm going to take Stugotz here. Are we all
I
going
think
predictions?
So.
Yeah.
No, I'm going Dan. I'll go Dan.
That guy's going to lose.
Billy, you're on the scene right now. What is the present mood amongst our combatants?
Hey, guys, it's Billy. So Stugotz is here, and he's already reminding Dan that he has done this already once today, so the excuses have already started.
All right, well, let's get them in position as they are right now. Get them in plank position.
All right, they're set.
All right, gentlemen, on my mark, we are going to go 3, 2, 1. And they are off. Right now, right off the bat, I can tell Dan got into position slowly. He is trying
That's a heady play in a head-to-head matchup. You want to make sure you're the last person fully set.
Now, Dan's ass is a little high in the air.
Yeah, a little too high.
It looks like two pyramids we got going up right here.
But it seems as though Dan is trying to regulate his breathing, taking some more of a zen approach. So far early on, Greg, as our expert, what do you make of their form?
You know what? My immediate thought goes to the elbows themselves. Hopefully our judges have inspected those elbows, because when you have long-sleeved shirts, you know, the incidence of elbow padding is rampant within the planking
That is
sport.
very true.
Dan and Stugotz have just eclipsed 30 seconds. Billy, you're on the scene. What can you tell us about the elbow placement and the form?
Their elbows do not seem to be padded as Greg thinks they may be, so I don't think there's any performance enhancers there. Just as an aside, Stugotz has more gray hair than I had realized previously. I don't know if that's something that we want to address, Stugotz.
Stress. I didn't ask for any of this.
Let's check in with our other fighter, Dan Le Batard, to see how he's doing.
Dan, how are you doing?
It's a bit of a labor.
Labor of love.
I can tell Dan's legs are starting to tremble a little bit. Billy, you got a great view right now. How much trembling is going on with those two gigantic frames?
I'd say, oh, wow, these are really nice pants. I'd say, no, he seems pretty steady right now. I think the little trembling that he had, he's worked out.
Oh, but he just readjusted, and the top of the pyramid has gotten higher on Dan Le Batard's body.
It really has.
Stugotz, are you trying to psych your opponent out any?
Are you trying to psych your opponent out?
No, but I'm going to start tickling him soon.
Yeah, well, that would break
That'd
up
be
your
cheating.
play.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is I think you've both already beat Chris Cote.
Yes, yes.
Who hasn't?
You
I
guys,
hate everyone.
Our combatants are about to eclipse the 2-minute mark. This is a pretty respectable showing. Greg, so far, they are at 2 minutes mark right now. At 2 minutes, what was your body doing?
Well,
I'll make a deal right now. You go down, I go down.
the body begins to tremble at the
Count
2-minute
of three.
mark.
Let's go down together.
Dan-
1, 2, 3, down. That didn't work. I'm going to go down. Oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Stugotz is tapped out.
Stugotz is tapped out in his second show, and Dan's still going.
Dan, keep it going. You
semi-strong.
could beat Greg here.
Trying to eclipse Greg's total. Right now, this is all Dan against Greg.
I finally won something. I said Dan would win.
Stugotz, how you feeling?
I am hurting right now. I mean, I haven't planked one time in my life until today, and today I did it twice. Yeah, Dan is going for Anthony's record. He should really go for the Guinness Book of World Records. Dan, you only have 8 days remaining.
No, Billy set the record at 4 minutes. Billy, check in with Dan. Let's see where his mind's at right now.
Oh, he just went
His mind's on the ground right now.
Man.
His mind and stomach are on the ground. Let's check in with Dan Le Batard, the host, see exactly how he's doing.
God, that was deeply unpleasant.
I feel like Diana Rossini.
So what was Dan's time there? 2:49. So when you take his 2:49 plus the 2 times I did it for a combined 5 minutes, I won. How about that?
All right, congratulations. The face-off, though, is Dan is better than Stu. Greg Cote, very impressive.
I'm done for the rest of the day. I'm done.
Now, this has been crazy because I didn't think that Dan was going to do that well, and everyone's doing better than me, and I hate everyone, and I just want to go walk into the ocean.
I think the key in all of this is remembering that a former 62-year-old Marine did this for 8 hours and 15 minutes.
He had to be raising his butt up and stuff like that. There's no way he kept perfect form for 8 hours. I call bull.
It's a big surprise that you would be the big loser here today. You have long been the shipping container. You've long been the show's best athlete.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I've always said that working out is not my strength. I'm better with the hand-eye coordination stuff. So this is
You've always said that, have you? Like Aristotle and Plato and stuff?
Yes.
Like that's a thing that you've always said.
Philosophy.
It's all right, Chris Cote. This is one physical competition that you're finally going to have to wear. You've proven yourself very worthy in all the other competitions, but in this one, it is a huge embarrassment to lose to Greg Cote in the fashion that you did.
Yes, it is.
Twice. Worse the second time, Chris. It's not like it's the first time. You could have just been willful and find out what his time is the way Stugotz did.
Oh, shut up. You sound winded.
I am winded.
We are winded. And you don't tell anyone to shut up today, man. Get out of here. Guys, I'm done. I mean,
how could I not be winded? I went twice as long as you did. He is so, look at him. He is even redder than he normally is, and he is our reddest creature.
Dan, be honest. You've been working on the planks with your trainer, huh?
He's good.
You've been working.
No,
You've been working.
I knew he'd be good.
No. I have done planks before, but never for more than a minute. Like I stop at a minute.
Yeah, I count it down to a minute, and it's always like, oh, how am I going to make it here? So I can't even imagine. Billy did it for 4 minutes. I clap it up.
Yeah, that's
Way
a
to
good
go, Bill.
4 minutes, Billy.
Seriously,
Well
way
done.
to
Good job,
go.
Bill.
Listen,
Good
in
job.
my personal record book, that is the world record right
Yeah,
there.
it really
Yeah,
is.
Good job.
In the non-marine division.
In the non-marine division.
All Chris did was went and got a chicken wing.
Makes me feel better.
Comfort food. Why were you saying Joe Burrow don't be that guy earlier in the show?
I'm tired, man. Listen, what I was saying with Joe, I just don't be the guy who's dancing around whether or not he wants to play for Cincinnati or not. And, I have the leverage in this situation, which I guess technically you do because you don't have to show up and play for the Bengals, or perhaps the XFL might be an option for Joe Burrow if he really wanted to go that route.
No, what are you talking about?
No, but I mean,
No one is saying that.
No one is saying that.
That's where else would he find leverage? Where else would he find leverage?
Get like $50,000 a year. Or
Here's
something.
my larger point. No, I think the XFL would pay him more.
They'd pay him more.
Here's my larger point. No, they would, Bill.
Please say it's your better point, because
my
the
better
one you
point.
just offered was flimsy.
I can't stand when quarterbacks do this, okay? The Bengals have the number 1 overall pick. And if you are a great quarterback, a generational type quarterback, you're going to be one of the all-time greats. And I think many people feel that about Joe Burrow after what they saw last year. You'll go anywhere, and you will make that team good because you are that good. Don't dance around the Bengals. Don't pull their legs. Don't say, hey, I have the
both
leverage.
legs.
Maybe I'll play. Maybe I won't. If you're special, if you're a special type of talent, you will go anywhere, and you will make that organization relevant the second you get there.
I always marvel at when people think the way that Stugotz thinks on this, where they go pro management instead of pro labor, where he should go to the Bengals because drafting, which is an absurd concept. And the Bengals are notoriously not interested in winning. Don't care about it. Don't try to win.
I didn't say it was a good concept. It's just the way that it is. And the Bengals have the number 1 draft
I know,
pick.
but they don't. He doesn't have to go there. He doesn't have to go there. Eli Manning did just fine not going to where it is that he was going to be drafted. It seemed to have worked out well for him. The one guy gets swallowed in San Diego, always down 8 with 30 seconds left and no timeouts, and Eli Manning ends up in the Hall of Fame with 2 championships by bulldozing the Chargers.
Well, I mean, Phillip Rivers will end up in the Hall of Fame, and I feel like a lot of people probably think Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Eli Manning. So it worked.
I'm saying it worked for Eli Manning.
And it worked for Phillip Rivers, too. I mean...
No, but what Eli Manning did, where he forced his way out of a place by having his daddy come out and say that he wasn't going to play there.
So the top XFL quarterback salary is like $495,000. So he's going to go there for a year, and then next year.
Stop entertaining this XFL
But you
thought.
understand that next year's number 1 pick is also going to be the worst team, right?
All right, but then where's the leverage? The leverage is not showing up to play for Cincinnati. That's his leverage. Hey, I'm just not going to go there. And that's ridiculous.
The leverage is he's valuable.
Okay, Dan, but here's the deal. You were so great that people want to select you number 1 overall.
I know, but
and if those people happen to be in Cincinnati, then so be
Stugotz,
it.
but
go there, play, and make them good.
A lot of things go into winning. And why would you trust the Bengals to put the pieces around you to win? And furthermore, even if he wants to not go to Cincinnati, the next 2 teams aren't a lot better in terms of swallowing their quarterbacks recently, whether it's Washington or Detroit. Like, I don't know where you're going to want to go, but it's not to one of the top 3.
To clean this up a little bit, Joe Burrow's comments today sort of indicated that he'll go wherever he is drafted. It's not the first time a player is threatened that. I know Myles Garrett was saying that he wanted to go to the Dallas Cowboys. John Elway actually effectively did this, but he had a baseball career to leverage.
That's legitimate. That's more legitimate leverage.
Yes.
He was leveraging the Yankees.
Yeah, where Joe Burrow's real leverage is I just simply don't want to be there, and I'll keep putting that out publicly.
Burrow. Go to Cincinnati. I mean, what are you doing here? Not everybody can replace Tom Brady in New England. The whole construct of professional sports is the draft system. You can collectively bargain that away, but until you do, be drafted where you're supposed to be drafted and then deal with it.
Now, it did work out for Baker Mayfield because perhaps we got ahead of ourselves with Baker Mayfield, but it's not like the Browns. You have any proof the Browns were trying to win or had any sustained period where they were actually a good team. Baker didn't complain. He was thrilled to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. He did not complain that it was the Browns that were drafting him. He didn't do it.
And so you want everybody to be good boys, and you want them not to remind you of what their value is, except when they're winning the championship and he's wearing a hat that says Big Bleep Joe on it. You're okay with it then, but when he wants to use the Big Bleep Joe stuff in order to get out of Cincinnati, or when he wants to exert leverage or power against a system that is inherently unfair and stupid, like it helps.
It's not inherently
It helps the owners. Look, it's stupid for us to aid those owners in price fixing. It's stupid for us to allow them, with a salary cap and a draft, to let their employees have fewer rights than any of us would want if we had the kind of value that Joe Burrow presently has. If we had that kind of value, you guys would want that freedom.
But I'm interested because I'm with Greg. I do not think it's stupid. You're rewarded for being bad. It's the only way to get better in the NFL.
It's the whole parity system, which you have to believe in or don't. Then again, you never know.
This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We live in a racist country.